Welcome to a new video, and today I'm going to talk with the 21.Waffen-Gebirgs-Division der SS Skanderbeg, albanische number 1. On April 7, 1939, 5 months prior to the outbreak of the Second World War, the Kingdom of Italy invaded the Albanian kingdom. The country was overrun in 5 days, and the Italian king, Victor Emmanuel III, subsequently accepted the crown offered by the Albanian parliament. The Royal Albanian Army was incorporated into the Royal Italian Army, and Viceroy was appointed to administer to the country as protectorate. After the Axis invasion of Yugoslavia on April 6, 1941, Italian Albania was expanded to include adjacent parts of the Kingdom of Yugoslavia, incorporated mainly from the Yugoslav Banovina's regional subdivisions of Varar and Morava. Kosovo was annexed to Albania, and in the beginning Albanians lived there enthusiastically welcomed the Italian occupation. Although officially under Italian rule, the Albanians in Kosovo controlled the region and were encouraged to open Albanian language schools, which had been banned by the Yugoslav government. The Italians also gave the inhabitants Albanian citizenship and allowed them to fly the Albanian flag. Kosovo Albanians then sought retribution against the Serbs and Montenegrins, settlers in the region, for the oppression that the Albanians had experienced at the hand of the Serbs during the Balkan War, the First World War and the Yugoslav rule. The Italians subsequently cleared the area of most Serbs and Montenegrins who had settled in the Kosovo during the interwar period. The local Albanians took advantage of their changed circumstances by taking revenge against the Serbian neighbors and burning the homes of as many as 30,000 Serbs and Montenegrin settlers. Albania remained occupied until Italy surrendered to the Allies in 1943. In August of that year, faced with the imminent collapse of the Italian war effort, Nazi Germany deployed the 2nd Panzer Army to the Balkans to take over areas previously occupied by Italy. The Germans took control of all Albanian forces that had been collaborating with the Italians prior to their capitulation. The Germans strengthened the Albanian army but quickly decided that those troops were unreliable. That year, a number of Albanians from Kosovo and Sandžak region were recruited into the 13th Waffen Mountain Division of the SS Handschar 1st Croatian, a waffen-SS division composed largely of Bosnian Muslims and Croats with mostly German officers. For about 6 months, the division included 1,000 ethnic Albanians from Kosovo and the Sandžak who had made up the 1st Battalion of the 2nd Regiment, which later became the 1st Battalion of the 28th Regiment. The Albanian government supported the idea of making an SS division, and in the face of increasing difficulties, Himmler soon changed his mind, and in February 1944 the idea received Hitler's approval. In February 1944, Hitler approved the creation of an Albanian SS division that was to serve only inside Kosovo and was intended to protect ethnic Albania but remained under German control. It was meant to be one of the 3 Muslim Waffen-SS divisions serving in the Balkans, the other 2 being the 13th Waffen Mountain Division of the SS Handschar 1st Croatian and the 23rd Waffen Mountain Division of the SS Kama 2nd Croatian. Himmler's goal was to expand the Waffen-SS recruiting in the Balkans and form 2 corps of 2 divisions each, which one of the corps was to operate in the region in Bosnia, in the independent state of Croatia, and the other in Albania. These corps would then be combined with the Volksdeutsche 7th SS Volunteer Mountain Division Prince Eugen, and together would form a Balkan Waffen-SS mountain army of 5 divisions. In March 1944, Bedri Pejani, the chairman of the Second League of Prizren, an organization created after Italian surrender to advance the interests of Kosovo Albanians, proposed to Hitler that a force of 120,000 to 150,000 Kosovo Albanian volunteers be raised to fight Yugoslav and Albanian partisans. Pejani asked the German leadership to give Albanians equipment and supplies to fight communist insurgency, and requested the expansion of the borders to the German puppet states of Albania at the expense of the German occupied territory of the military commander in Serbia and the German puppet state of Montenegro. These requests were not fulfilled, but in April 1944, Himmler ordered the establishment of a new Albanian volunteer division, which was subsequently named after the medieval Albanian warrior George Kastrioti Skanderbeg. The SS had initially envisioned a force of 10 to 12,000 men, and Himmler saw the Muslim Albanians as potential source of manpower in the German war against the Yugoslav partisans, who had faced significant difficulties in recruiting Kosovo Albanians to join their ranks. The Germans found that Kosovo Albanians were more cooperative than Albanians in Albania itself, mainly because they feared to return to a Yugoslav rule, and many of the division's recruits were Albanians from Kosovo. The quality of most of these recruits was poor, with only 6,000 being considered suitable for received training. Those that were accepted were a combination of about 1,500 former Royal Yugoslav Army prisoners of war, implements of the failed Albanian army and Gender Army volunteers from both pre-war and expanded Albania, and conscripts from families that had more than 2 sons. On the 17th of April 1944, the Albanian battalion of the 13th SS Division was transferred via rail directly from combat in Bosnia to Kosovo to form part of the Skanderbeg Division. The head of the waffen-SS recruitment, SS Obergruppenführer Gottlob Berger, reported to Himmler that the Albanians were quite sad about leaving. On the 23rd of May, Fitzum reported the failure of the Albanian units used in the operations against the partisans, and that he had dissolved 4 Albanian battalions organized by the Wehrmacht. He described most Albanian army and Gender Army officers as totally corrupt, unusable, undisciplined and untrainable. The division was founded as the 21.Waffen-SS Gebirgs-Division der SS Skanderbeg, albanische No. 1, on May 1, 1944 as part of the 21st Mountain Corps. Most or all of the division's officers, non-commissioned officers, NCOs and specialists were German, and those were mainly provided by the 7th and 13th SS Divisions, which noticeably weakened those formations. The Divisional Artillery Regiment was formed from the 1st Albanian Artillery Regiment. The division was placed under the command of the SS Standartenführer August Schmidhuber, who was promoted to SS Oberführer in June. Estimates of the size of the division range from 6,000 to 6,500 men. Members took a religious oath using the Quran, pledging jihad against unbelievers. The division was originally equipped with captured Italian Carro Armato M1542 tanks, which proved to be unreliable. Its garrison was located in the town of Piritzen. Early on, it became clear that most of the division's Muslim Albanian members seemed to be interested only in settling scores with their Christian Serb adversaries, and numerous atrocities were committed. The Germans had to disarm battalions of the division in the town of Pek and Piritzen and arrest Albanian officers, with one commanding officer even being sent to prison in Germany. On May 14, 1944, members of the division raided Jewish homes in Pristina and arrested 281 Jews and handed them over to the Germans, who sent them to Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, where many were killed. In general, units of the division were better known for murdering, raping and looting mainly ethnic Serbs areas and arresting Jews than for participating in combat operations on behalf of the German war effort. In addition to indiscriminately killing Serbs and Montenegrins, the division were responsible for the expulsion of up to 10,000 Slavic families from Kosovo, as new Albanian settlers arrived from the poor areas of northern Albania. The arrival of these Albanians were encouraged by the Italian authorities, and it's estimated as many as 72,000 Albanians were settled or resettled in Kosovo during the war. In June 1944, the division engaged in large-scale field maneuvers between the town of Berana and Adrevica in Montenegro and participated in operations Endlich and Falkenauge, and in June and July as well in Draufgänger, during which it was the main force to be used by the Germans. According to Neubacher, the division was scarcely committed to fighting in the early stages of its training and performed poorly. By the end of August, the Germans had decided that the division was only used for basic guarding duties. Subsequently, some members were charged with guarding chromium mines near Kosovo, before the area was overrun by partisans. In the ensuing clashes, one of the division's regiments lost more than 1,000 men, and many Albanians deserted, some after Serb partisans' attacks on the areas northeast of Gusine. Army Group E claimed that the performance of the division showed that it had absolutely no military value, and on September 1, 1944, troops of the division at Tetovo and Gostrivar mutinied, killing their German officers and NCOs. By this time, the division numbered fewer than 7,000 men, which was less than 1/3 of its intended strength. Within 2 months of its initial deployment, 3,500 men had deserted. Himmler brought 3,000 to 4,000 Kriegsmarine German Navy personnel from Greece to make up the numbers, but this had little effect on the division's fighting ability. By the beginning of October 1944, the division's strength had fallen to about 4,900 men, fewer than 1,500 of whom were fit for combat. In mid-October it was engaged in heavy fighting around Dakovica. By this time the Serbians had significantly affected the division's strength, and its 86 officers and 467 NCOs were left with a force of only 899 men, about half of whom were Albanian. On October 24th, Generaloberst Alexander Löw, the commander of Army Group E, ordered all Albanian members of the division were to be disarmed and released. On the 1st of November 1944, the division was disbanded. At the same time, Albanians in Kosovo took up arms against the partisans when they learned that the region would not be unified with Albania after the war, despite earlier partisan promises. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you did, and hope to see you in the next video.